and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa. This is On the Block with Strick and Nate. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! You're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
And Hokie Homer turned Husker, Nathan Brennan.
Everyone knows that I'm the smartest person here.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Nate.
Welcome to On the Block. It's Strick, Nate, and Rico who is handling the board for us today. It's a great day, but yet it is a cold, icy, freezing, slick. You guys all be careful out there today. It's if you're in the state of Nebraska, those who are listening elsewhere on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, we welcome you as well to On the Block with Strick and Nate. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk a little bit about the win last night in the Battle of the Ball. There was an upset last night. Drake happened to come in and take a win away from Mississippi State, 15th ranked team in the country. So that was that was one of the big games that went on. Also, you had some NAIA play that was going on prior to that. And then you had the Huskers come in facing Queens for the first time. Nebraska's faced two first-time teams this year, Maine being the first and this Queens team being the one that they faced in the Battle of the Vault last night. Got a 10-point win, 75-65. Some of the members of 93.7 The Ticket were in the building, and that was a beautiful thing to see. Nate, Rico was actually in the building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. While I was calling the game, thank you guys as well for your continued support. It was a nervous game for me, being that it was my last game, but it was one that was very pleasurable to see the Huskers get a win as they finished 7-4 in their non-conference play. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk with Cluster Johnson on the next segment as well. We're going to talk a little bit about flipping, flopping, pancaking, decommits, why they do it, what is the thought behind that. We're going to get into a little bit of that here on the block today as well on the next segment with two-time national champion Cluster Johnson. And we'll do shootout with Strick, and then we'll get into the signing day. Obviously, it's a big day for the Huskers. GBR, Go Big Red. As Rico had alluded to on the show just prior to us, the happy hour, there's some wonderful things that are happening, how the Huskers had made an extreme leap in their signing and their commitments, and also retaining and keeping some that thought that may pass on and move on to go elsewhere. So we're going to dig all into that, to include having Brian Mutson join us as well. So, fellas, how are you guys doing today? Rico, thanks for joining us on the block, handling the board today. We appreciate that. Nate, safe travels to you. You made it. You and the wifey made it to your location safely, I see.
Yes, we did, Strick, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a day off. You doing the intro like this, I can get used to this. Sit back, might have to get me a patio pounder and relax a little bit. But yeah, we've made our way over to the great space of York, Nebraska. We were able to travel well. You can already tell outside the roads aren't as slick yet. We have really good crews here in the state of Nebraska, kind of getting ahead of things, but the visibility is starting to get a little bit difficult to see. And I know that it's going to start picking up here in the next hour or so. So definitely make sure if you're already on the road, stay safe, take care of yourself. I know tomorrow is going to be pretty rough too. And Strick, I don't know if you can see on the stream, I'm wearing a throwback NBA Jam shirt.
I see it.
Domantas Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon. It makes me think now I somehow need to get my hands on an NBA Jam Eric Strickland and Michael Finley Mavericks NBA Jam shirt. What do you think? Can we make that happen?
Man, hey, you can have a nice little rotation with that crew. A lot of people. The crazy thing, though, a lot of people tell me, Nate, they say when, I used to play with you when I was on NBA Live. Like, I think the last time was 05, and they're like, Strick, I didn't realize you were that good on NBA Live. I was like, wow, okay, well, shoot. They at least hooked me up a little bit, but that would have been fun to be on an NBA Jams game. Obviously, this show is represented good. I'm glad you made it safely. Again, thanks for taking note. You guys be safe out there. It can get really slick. But this show on the block is sponsored by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Go out there and have a wonderful meal. There's some great food that you can tap into when you go out to Mary Ellen's. Let Charles know that the block fellas sent you out there. Great stuff. Let's get into this right now as we jump into what happened on last night. And I really want to talk about what you guys were able to see, because some of the things that they had to rebound from, the Nebraska Husker basketball team, tough loss, didn't play very well. Some of the starters didn't look very good. We still have Emmanuel Bandamil struggling a little bit in his play, and we've got to hopefully get him going. CJ Wilcher as well had been struggling, got off to a solid start last night. But I really would like your take, starting with you, Nate, on what was your takeaway as you observed from the proximity of on the floor. Now, you guys weren't up in the normal space where we normally be up in the media section. You guys were actually on the floor, and in that close proximity, what were some of the things that you were able to witness, and what were some of your takeaways about this Husker team? And as they prepare to go into the Big Ten, what are some of your expectations and what you hope to see going forward?
Well, first and foremost, Strick, it was nice to be on the court because you were looking fly over there on the sideline, looking like your draft day suit or something. So you were looking pretty good. It was fun to be on the sideline, and it gave you an entirely different perspective because you're able to hear the coaches kind of yelling out sets, things like that. You can hear the players communicating on the floor, and it's interesting that you bring up CJ Wilcher, Strick, because I remember I was looking over to Nick Enrico, his first couple buckets. I'm saying that's huge. That's huge, because I know that we've talked extensively, especially about CJ Wilcher, for this team to be productive, for this team to make a run, or maybe flirt with an NIT appearance later on in the season. CJ Wilcher has got to be effective and efficient. Started out that way, started to cool down towards the end. I think the defensive effort was still there for Nebraska. I mean, if you look at Queens, they only shot 33% from the floor, 24% from three. You can see that intensity in the way that they play. But I think the biggest takeaway, Strick, is still like it seems like this team, whenever they need a basket, for some reason they can't find it. That to start that game, you're running free. You're running a little bit, like you said, that you said they need to start running the floor a little bit, taking advantage of maybe those 4-on-3s, possibly get a fast break, head the other way. You saw that in the beginning. And then when it was time to start stomping on their throat, taking over the game, get a couple baskets and end it, it's almost like they went non-existent. And I don't know what that goes through. I know that Derek was able to kind of communicate his role a little bit more, demanding the ball. Sam Griesel was taking it down to the post, and I still think those are your go-to guys. But when they aren't on the floor, it's almost like the offense just goes stagnant. And I don't know how to solve that. I don't know if there's something that you saw. I don't know if there's something that you saw as well, Rico. But it's almost like the way that game started was the blueprint for Nebraska to be successful. It was great pacing. They were efficient from the floor, and then it's almost like it collapsed in the second half. And I want to know what you guys thought about that.
Well, one of the things that they were able to do, I mean, obviously, Kenny Dye, who is their leading scorer, tremendous player for them. They had 4 returning players coming back from a team that went 30-4 on last year and went to the Sweet 16 of the Division II ranks. Mm-hmm. So they had a very veteran team. They got off to a really slow start. I'll get into a little bit about what the coach's thoughts was on some of that. But holding Kenny Dye, as well as A.J. McKee, who is their second best scorer, McKee to 4 of 12 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3, and Dye, who was shooting over 50% from 2 and 60% from 3, held him to 5 of 14 shooting, 0-3 from the three-point line. So that really helped them to have a tremendous game. Rico, so being that Nebraska now has put 5 players in double figures for the third time this year, and some of those things were an aggressive Husker team that it looked like they didn't have that same type of aggression down there against Kansas State. What do you think about this team and that balance and what that can do for them as they go into Big Ten play?
Just being down there on the court and listening to the communication that they had on the offensive and the defensive end was extremely impressive. Hearing them talk back and forth, how quickly they were able to make adjustments on the fly on the offensive and defensive end. You hear them yelling about switches on the defensive end and who's going to cover who. And then on the offensive end, they're throwing picks. They're telling people where to go. You know, Sam Griesel's directing traffic. Derek Walker's directing traffic from that point center spot from time to time. I think the ability to have multiple people that can get into double figures. The fact that they've had a different leading scorer, I believe, in 5 of the last 7 games, really goes a long way with this Husker team, because we've talked about it extensively before the season even started. It's hard to game plan for a team when you don't know exactly who they're going to go to on any given night. They don't have a single guy where they say, all right, if this guy doesn't score 20 points, we're in a world of hurt. Because although Derek Walker seems to be their go-to guy, and he was that guy with 13 points, I mean, Sam Griesel had 16, Keisei Tominaga had 15, and it's not like he had 15 on only 3-point shots. He was 3 of 7 from 3. He was getting into the paint, hitting floaters, hitting mid-ranges. He was taking steps, taking a step or two inside the 3-point arc, which is extremely impressive for a guy who as we said multiple times, I don't think he's ever seen a defender in his life. The greenest light of all green lights. Taking a couple steps in when he realizes, hey, the 3-point shot might not be falling, and hitting those mid-ranges goes a long way. So Nebraska being able to kind of spread the floor and have a whole bunch of people who can do a whole bunch of different things and score the rock is extremely impressive and will help them go a long way to, a possible NIT appearance, or just, a solid season for them, which is something that they haven't had in a long time.
Yes, absolutely. Again, NU held Queens to 34% shooting, which is the Royals' lowest percentage of the season. And in the 6th opponent that they've held under 40% this year, NU has also held 3 opponents to 40% or fewer as well. And so what you find is that Nebraska did something that was uniquely different. They got aggressive. They were getting downhill. They were turning the corner and getting to the basket. They were finishing. Here you have some of the leaders of this game, as you said, you spoke about. You had Sam Griesel, who was only taking 4 shots in the last game. He came out very aggressive on last night, shooting 6 for 9, 1 for 1 from 3, which is something they want him to be aggressive in doing as well. 3 for 4 from the free throw line.
He's kind of gotten a lot. He's going into the post more, and he's gotten a lot better with that little fadeaway, because he already has that, over the shoulder, a little hook shot, just a little push shot that's gone really well. But when he can't get all the way to the basket, he's turned to that fadeaway or just that turnaround jumper, and it was falling last night, and it looked really pretty.
Absolutely. And he looked under control, and he was taking advantage of the size difference that he had in there. 16 for him. Vandermill had 10, a quiet 10, 5 for 10 shooting. But the thing that he really needs to get a hold on is the 3-point shooting, because he actually had good looks on last night, going 0 for 4 from 3. CJ Wilster still struggling, 2 for 8, 2 for 7 from 3. Got off to an early start, but only ends up with 6 points. Derek Walker with 13. But here's the thing that I want to throw out to you guys as well, is 6 assists to 1 turnover, where his turnover numbers were quadruple that against Kansas State with like 5. So those are some of the things that if he can do that with those type of numbers, the dimes that he was able to drop, the cutting of Gary, a lot of those things that if they continue, they could be okay, because the key is they need to hit 75 points in order to have some success with the defense that they play in the Big Ten.
And it's interesting, too, Strick, that you bring up the 75 points, because that's literally right on the dot what you said Nebraska has to get to yesterday. I'm curious. I want you to just kind of break down a little bit offensively where Nebraska has success and where they don't, because I know that you see kind of the intricate details. You see more of the offense that they're running than I'll be able to, because I genuinely don't understand how in the first half it seems like you're clicking on all cylinders, it's working, and then basically with the snap of the fingers, it looks like these players don't start hitting shots. I mean, is that scheme? Is that who's getting the ball more? Is that who's on the court? It just seemed like, again, which we saw in the St. John's game, we've seen in a couple other games, it's completely different teams based on the half. And I genuinely don't know what happens in halftime, and I don't know what will happen in the Big Ten, because as you know, Strick, if you're playing the Big Ten, you can't go on these 10-0 runs the opposite way for the other team's favor. They're going to bury you. It doesn't work like that in the Big Ten. The defenses are too good. So how are they going to be able to have success and keep that offense flowing throughout an entire game?
Well, again, it's definitely got to be with ball movement. Like I said, they didn't even get to 10 assists as a team, and they have to be able to do that. They're not a team that's going to be able to break you down. As I can tell you from watching that game, and I think you guys would both agree with me, is that Kenny Dye is a guy who can create space, get his own shot. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well, he found himself being able to break down the defense on multiple occasions, get in there, just wasn't able to finish. But we don't have that. That's not the type of team that we have. The way that we get it done is with Derek Walker being able to take big men off the dribble. We also have that with Jerron Gary getting in the open court, able to get downhill. And then you have Greasel being able to take advantage in the post right now. So those are some of the things that they have success with. But can that be a continuum of what success is in the Big Ten with the length of teams, with the great defenses that teams also pose in the Big Ten? That's going to make it tough. So some other things that we found when you look at this team and what the coaches had to say, the coaches still believe that with their scheme, with their opportunities, hopefully that they will be able to knock down those shots when it comes time to do so. Because if they don't, I think it's going to be a long season. So now I ask this question: what are your predictions? What are your predictions for the Huskers in Big Ten play this year? Nate, you start off. I would love to hear what your prediction is. Where do you think this team falls based on what you were able to see in their rebounding as they close out the non-conference season?
Well, I like that you bring up rebounding, Strick, because this is another game that Nebraska led in the rebounding category. And as we've said all season, they've been competitive, at least staying with teams on the rebounding side. And when you get into Big Ten play, that's going to be huge, especially when you're playing teams like a Wisconsin, like an Iowa, these physical brands of basketball. But Strick, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and I look at this Big Ten schedule. I think this 3-game stretch is going to be huge. And this is going to kind of decide the direction of Nebraska's season, because you don't really get much of a break. You're going to host Iowa next Thursday on the 29th. That game is going to be on the Big Ten Network. I think that that's going to be a tough game. But then when you look at Michigan State on the road and at Minnesota, you have to get at least one of those games. And to be honest with you, I think for Nebraska's season, if you want to be a part of that possibly tournament bubble team, if you want to be in that NIT discussion, you got to get 2. But you have to come out of that 3-game stretch. I know these games are on the road, and I don't care who it is. I don't care if Minnesota is the worst team in Power 5. It's a Big Ten basketball game on the road. It's going to be a tough environment. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be physical, and they're going to come out defensively. You have to win at least one. You have to. I mean, this is because we saw last year, and we talked about it, Strick, it is a snowball effect for Nebraska. You cannot go on these stretches of 2, 3, 4 losses in the Big Ten because you're toast. You just get behind, and it's just going to keep snowballing. I think you need 2 out of those 3, but for certain, no matter what, you've got to get 1. And I think I'd like to evaluate after we get through those 3 games in the Big Ten.
Rico, as Nate just said, it's a tough stretch right here. What's your thoughts going into the season, and what would you predict for this team based on what you've seen so far?
Well, I thought going into this season that Nebraska was, could flirt with 500 if they didn't finish at 500. I never really thought they'd finish above 500, but if they didn't finish at 500, they finished a couple games below 500, which I think is a massive improvement for where they have been over the last couple of seasons. And seeing this team without Derek Walker and now with Derek Walker and without Sam Greasel for the one game and with Sam Greasel, I think that those two work so well together. And Derek Walker has kind of taken that next step to become a more dominant force for this Nebraska team, where I believe that if they can get Sam to be more aggressive in his 3-point shooting, at least, maybe not, taking 5 a game, but taking, 3, making 1, making 2, but just keeping the defense honest, and the ability and the fact that he's, 6'7", 6'6", I don't know how tall he is. And he's just going to be bigger than most point guards in the Big Ten. He can use that to his advantage. I truly think that this team can possibly, and I know this is going to sound maybe ridiculous, can probably get a first-round bye in the Big Ten tournament. I think they can be a middle-of-the-road Big Ten team.
Wow.
Which is strict what you said that you wanted. I mean, that's what going into the season you said you were looking for.
But you're going to need to see an improvement, or at least getting back to where he started at the beginning of the season for both Juwan Gary and Emmanuel Bandamel, because those two are extremely important, not only on the defensive side. They both got black shirts and they're both, dogs on the defensive side, but Juwan Gary, maybe not as many threes, maybe focus more on getting to the rim, using his athleticism, and Emmanuel Bandamel just needs to be more consistent. He had that 3-point shot, not to, he's not a sniper or anything, but it was respectable, and it's kind of fallen off the last couple of games. He needs to get back to that, and that will help this Nebraska team, especially with the step forward that Casey has taken and being that sixth man off the bench, and the ability to hit a bunch of threes and not be afraid to mix it up in the paint and mix in a floater from time to time, get a couple reverse layups, got the crowd going last night. With him coming off the bench and being that spark plug, that just takes this Nebraska team to another level. And I mean, it's not, another level, but it's another level that they have.
Absolutely. Before we go to break, the Nebraska Cornhuskers on December 29th, after Christmas, they'll get a nice break here, which will allow them to get healthy, which allow them to continue to work on some areas of deficiency, especially shooting that rock. They'll face the Iowa Hawkeyes December the 29th on Thursday, 6 p.m. at Pinnacle Bank Arena. That game will be on Big Ten Plus, not Big Ten Plus, Big Ten Network. And they'll hit the road. For me, I think I want to take the higher level of this with Nate. I think they need to get 2. You have to take care of home, and then you have to go and sneak one. Maybe you come up short at Michigan State, but you got to go into Minnesota and get one of those, especially after taking 2, especially one at home, even though it was to Purdue. But we've got to take a break. We'll have Cluster Johnson come. We're going to talk about flipping and flopping pancakes and all types of things. We're not talking about the pancake crew, but we're going to talk about some flipping and flopping, decommits, and the reason why, potentially, maybe just to speak on it a little bit with Cluster Johnson, 2-time national champion, when we return after this on the block, 93.7 The Ticket.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa.
I'm dreaming of
winning thousands of dollars,
just like the ones
the Nebraska Lottery is giving away.
May your days be merry and bright,
when you enter the Holiday Wishes Second Chance promotion.
And may all your holidays
be filled with lots and lots of cash.
I'm dreaming of
entering non-winning Nebraska Lottery Holiday Wishes scratch tickets,
just like the ones
you can find at any Nebraska Lottery retailer.
May your days be merry and bright.
How could they not, with chances to win $1,000, $5,000, or even $10,000?
And may all your Christmases be
green.
There are 2 drawings for winners, so visit your nearest Nebraska Lottery retailer today. Buy some tickets and enter our Holiday Wishes Second Chance promotion. Promotion ends January 4th, 2023. Top prize odds vary by game.
Ever think of having a career in plumbing or heating? Do you enjoy watching your favorite game in a nice, comfortable space? Taking a shower after a warm day? Well, everyone we serve at Biggerstaff Plumbing, Heating, and Air sure does. If you're interested in a career in plumbing, heating, and air, come join our team where you'll get paid while training. No experience required. Enjoy great pay and benefits in a friendly environment. Call Biggerstaff Plumbing, Heating, and Air at 402-466-8118 or apply online at biggerstaffs.com.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and I'm back with Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, you said to me earlier you have a lot going on at the dealership. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Sure can, Charlie. As I've said before, if you don't see a vehicle on our lot that you're looking for, it's probably on its way soon.
So, how many new Hondas do you have in stock or on the way?
We have a total of over 325, Charlie, with a great selection of Pilots and Ridgelines in stock right now.
Well, we have been talking about the Honda of Lincoln way of buying cars for several months. How is that going?
People love it. We're buying all makes and models, whether they purchase the car from us or not. I mean, really, it's a no hassle, and we will pay them cash on the same day.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Guys, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping has changed my life. I'm healthier, I'm more fit, I have more energy, and oh yeah, I've lost a bunch of weight, almost 100 pounds. Now's the time for you to take control of your health and join the Farrell's 10-week challenge. The program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition to set you up for success. And ticket listeners, you can get in for half off. The next challenge starts on January 7th at both of their locations, 40th and Yankee Hill, and their brand new spot at 70th and Vine. Get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Join today, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
This is Lindsay Teal from the Nebraska golf team. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for the avid golfer in your life, don't give them something they can't even use until spring. Get them the gift of indoor golf from Double Eagle Golf. Grab a gift card for a stocking stuffer, or give the gift of a membership and let them golf all year long. Their space is also perfect for Christmas parties, corporate events, birthday parties, or anything else. See for yourself. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Decking the halls with boughs of holly sure sounds great until you're the one who has to do it. Take the stress out of your holiday parties this year and host your gatherings at Suite A Events by Mary Ellen's. Suite A is the perfect place for your year-end company parties or other large gatherings. Suite A and Mary Ellen's can handle the food, the desserts, the decorations, and of course, those holiday spirits. See for yourself online at sweetaevents.com or at 27th and Pine Lake, right next to Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
A winter storm warning will be in effect late this afternoon into tonight. We'll see a high of 26 with areas of flurries and freezing drizzle this morning a possibility. But by this evening into tonight, a quick blast of snow. 3 to 5 inches will be possible. An overnight low of 11 degrees below zero. A high tomorrow of only around 4 below zero. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day. Sponsored by Live Hydration Spa. Back to On the Block with Strick and Nate on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We on a world tour with Bob and our man. Don't let you leave the place with the mic in your hand.
Yes, we're on a world tour. We're on a world tour back on the block right here. Nate is not on the block, but he's somewhere on a block.
What up, what up?
Nate had to take a little stroll to head out of town, but Stricky is at home. We have blizzardy conditions, so we decided on the block to stay safe on the block today and stay at home. We also have a good friend of the show's, a continuous member of On the Block and the Blockheads, as well as all of those members that are tapping in on all the streams, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And as well for the sponsor, thank you, Mary Ellen's, for your continued sponsorship of this show. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. You can find them on 27th and Pine Lake. Right there. Charles, go out there and say hello to him. Cluster Johnson joined us on the block today where we're going to talk about some flip-flopping decommits. I had some things on my mind that I was kind of just thinking about because I've been looking around and I consistently see something that just kind of throws me aback because I'm an old school generation guy. I'm a guy that if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm usually going to do it. I mean, I fall short just like anybody else. But for the most part, when I told Nebraska I was coming, I was coming. I didn't have any other ideas of going anywhere else. But this, it's kind of been a change of a lot of this happening nowadays, and I just want to understand it. So, Cluster Johnson, break it down for us, man, and just kind of give us a good idea, man. Thanks again for joining us on the show. How you doing today, my man?
You know, like my man Don Cornelius said from Soul Train, love, peace, and soul. I'm happy to be here. It's snowy outside. This is chilly and cracker weather. Ain't nothing like this time of the year. You have to make the best of it. Got to make the best.
Absolutely,
but,
man.
Other than that, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Cluster, you have not only been through as a highly touted recruit, you have been through this process. You're seeing now young men as well as women are kind of finding themselves in this same process, getting an opportunity to sit down at the table and write their name on the dotted line on signing day. This is early signing. So tell me a little bit about that process for you, but also what do you think the mindset is of a young man or a young woman that when it comes down to the end of sticking to your word, or what are some of the dynamics that would cause a young man or woman to kind of make a change at the last minute, at the final hour, after you pretty much committed to going somewhere else?
Well, previously, obviously things have changed so much since you and I were going through this process. Like you said, once we made a decision back then, it was pretty taboo to go against your word and pick another school at the last minute. But obviously things have changed in the fact that you now have NIL in play, which is, I think it's a huge, huge deal now where, these kids can be paid. That's big. I mean, money talks, especially when families, you may have some families out there that are struggling that don't really come from a lot of money. And if they can benefit from who they are as people, that's become a huge factor. Then you have to also factor in, changing of coaches. That could be a big deal. You also have to factor in, this is the only time, this used to be the only time where the kid really had power, because once you get on campus, is now at the will of the coach. And I think coaches try to do a good job of not promising kids anything, but if you do, a kid get there, he don't play as much as freshman year, or something just goes wrong in the kid's mind where there was some breakdown in communication, and kids are out. They out of here. So that's what we got to get used to today. But I say the biggest thing right now, especially with the top level recruits, is definitely money. And it's unfortunate. I say that's unfortunate to make decisions on money, because it used to be decision made on depth chart. Am I going to get a chance to ball and actually show who I am and make a difference, and not make this be the highlight of everything? Because I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot of kids out there. This is the highlight right here, baby. This is the highlight. They get to tweet out their name and get all the likes and everything else. And then all of a sudden you never hear from them again. So one of the things I talk to my boys about is, are you going to be a factor? Are you going to be a factor in life? Not necessarily in life, but the work begins now. It's not the recruiting process. The work begins once you get on campus. So it's kind of, it's fun to get all the adulation and all of the cheering, but a lot of the kids, I think, today get caught up in this process, and then you just never hear from them again.
Cluster Johnson, two-time national champion, joining us right now. Cluster, I got to ask you, Nebraska, this recruiting class starting to come together. A lot of kids from the state or in the region. As a kid that was being recruited in the state of Nebraska, What do you make of this class kind of coming together and Matt Rule having this focus of getting these in-state kids and kind of that 100, 200, 300, however far you want to extend it, that radius, that 300-mile radius of keeping kids right here and keeping them in state?
Well, I think that if you look at the history of Nebraska's success, that's where it starts. You got to get the kids that are in that what they call the 500-mile radius, and so if you're not getting the majority of them and developing them, then you're not going to see the type of results that I think that you had back when we were having success. So I think that Trev has probably sat down and discussed with Matt Rule what made Nebraska successful. I'm pretty sure he did that, because that's why you see this staff getting really excited about landing some of these important guys that are close to the program. Trev is one of those 500-mile guys. I mean, I think he's Waterloo or Cedar Rapids. I'm not sure which one of them, but he's from Iowa. Grant Wistrom, he's from Missouri. So when you think back to some of our greatest players, they were in that radius. And Coach Osborne did a really good job of making sure he locked those players down and bring them in. And then on top of that, develop them and where they made an impact on the program. And I think that's where there's been the biggest miss over the last few years is, we've been able to get some players in locally, but I'm not sure they've been developed up to the point where they can be big difference makers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're already starting to see it. And I think this is another dynamic cluster. You can touch on this as well, is relationship driven, right? That happens as to why the Nebraska had success. They were really good at getting out and establishing relationships with the high school coaching network throughout the state, and really had a funnel that was being driven towards Nebraska football. But even right now, we have a Syracuse, like, for example, Syracuse football, they couldn't hang on to their number 2 recruit commit of the 2023 class. He committed to them 10 days ago. Vincent Carroll Jackson, he's a 3-star lineman out of Harrisburg. And I think this goes on, it's 2 things to this. One, you have Tony White that's coming over, but 2, from Syracuse. So there could be a relationship thing there. But 2, Class, this speaks to what this is what I like about Rule and the situation that I heard when they finally hired him. I love the fact that he kind of gave us a blueprint. He shared some inside information. He told us he was going back into Jersey. He was going back out of East. He was going into Texas. You look at the recruits that he's not only flipped, brought, got. They came out of the basic pipeline that he said, I want to establish out of Pennsylvania and different areas like that. And so is relationship part of it as well? So if a coach happens to leave, because you do see a lot of coaching turnover, and is that a part of this process as well?
Well, I think the good thing about Coach Rule being, coaching at Baylor, so he coached at Baylor and he coached at Temple. So therefore, he has great relationships in those areas. That is a huge reason why I think he's attacking those areas, because at Temple, I mean, he won 10 games 2 times at Temple. I mean, that's huge. So he has to have great insight to where the players are out on the East Coast. Because again, he's shown you at a school that was a traditional non-power, he was able to get a winning culture out of there. Now he's going back into Texas because he was able to get Baylor on track. So therefore, he has an inroads to who to talk to. So, it just makes sense. It makes sense for him to go to those areas because obviously. He has cachet with some of those coaches, some of those high school coaches out there that he's done some kids right, obviously. So He's going to go back to those grounds of where he has some success, and
Some
then
fertile soil.
Focus on. Hello.
Yeah, some fertile soil. I was just saying. I was speaking to what you said. Going back to that fertile soil.
You know, so you hit them two areas, and because actually Coach Osborne was those are some of his areas. I mean, when you look at Christian and Jason Peter, Mike Rozier, Baron Miles, these are East Coast guys. Okay, obviously Texas is big for every school, and Florida. Throw in Cali, you get a couple out of Cali, and then you got Nebraska. There's 5 places I know Nebraska's had a lot of success. East Coast again, Cali, Texas, Florida, and Arizona. Those are places that I know.
There's a guy in Arizona. There's a guy in Arizona right now, Kless. Kless, hold on.
Yep.
You said Arizona? Did you say Arizona? There's a guy in Arizona right now. Can we get him? You know who I'm talking about. Raiola. There's a guy in Arizona right now. That's a pipeline. We just need to open it up.
Okay, yeah. I mean, think about it. Kenny Cheatham, Toby Wright, Tyrone Bird. Was a quarterback who was competing with Eric Crouch. I can't think of his name right now. He ended up going playing receiver though. They was fighting over the quarterback, but he's from Arizona. Why can't I think of his name? He's a pretty popular player too. But we've had a lot of success over the years in Arizona. So, yeah, man, I think he's got a good blueprint, and as long as he stick with it, they'll be all right. They'll get back on track.
Cluster, thank you once again, man, for joining us to give us your insight. Talking right now, I might even have to put this on the board. I mean, this is some good stuff. Talking about flip-flopping decommits and the reason why. Cluster Johnson, 2-time national champion for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, joining us on the block. Thank you once again for joining us, my friend, to give us your insight and wisdom. We'll see you hopefully next week. Have a good Christmas, too, if we don't see you on the block before then. We got to take a break. We got to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back on the block, 93.7 The Ticket. Eastrick, Nate, Rico on the board. We'll be right back after these messages on the block right here.
Where does it stop? Where do you dare me to draw the line? You got the body, now you want my soul.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa.
This is Lindsay Teal from the Nebraska golf team. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for the avid golfer in your life, don't give them something they can't even use until spring. Get them the gift of indoor golf from Double Eagle Golf. Grab a gift card for a stocking stuffer, or give the gift of a membership and let them golf all year long. Their space is also perfect for Christmas parties, corporate events, birthday parties, or anything else. See for yourself. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300. The Empire brand is growing with ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel and media blasting of all sorts. ESC has great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
A winter storm warning will be in effect late this afternoon into tonight. We'll see a high of 26 with areas of flurries and freezing drizzle this morning a possibility. But by this evening into tonight, a quick blast of snow, 3 to 5 inches will be possible. An overnight low of 11 degrees below zero. A high tomorrow of only around 4 below zero. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
2022 flew by fast. And while you celebrate the upcoming holidays, Mullen Motors is looking ahead to 2023 and trying to open up space on their lot. Stop by Mullen Motors for their year-end sale and select from some of the best options of used vehicles in Lincoln at the best prices of the year. Don't end the year in your aging vehicle. Search Mullen Motors lot today for their year-end sale, just north of 48th and Lake.
No tagline, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Riddles Jewelry is excited to showcase the scintillating Levion jewelry collection. Levion is known for their love of reinventing fine designer jewelry through unique combinations of chocolate diamonds, vibrant gemstones, and precious metals. Levion and Riddles Jewelry, two family-owned businesses who put customers at the heart of what they do. No one colors your world better than Levion. So visit Riddles Jewelry today and receive $100 off any Levion purchase now through Christmas.
At Riddles Jewelry, Gateway Mall.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and I'm back with Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, you said to me earlier you have a lot going on at the dealership. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Sure can, Charlie. As I've said before, if you don't see a vehicle on our lot that you're looking for, it's probably on its way soon.
So, how many new Hondas do you have in stock or on the way?
We have a total of over 325, Charlie, with a great selection of Pilots and Ridgelines in stock right now.
Well, we have been talking about the Honda of Lincoln way of buying cars for several months. How is that going?
People love it. We're buying all makes and models, whether they purchase the car from us or not. I mean, really, it's a no hassle, and we will pay them cash on the same day.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Guys, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping has changed my life. I'm healthier, I'm more fit, I have more energy, and oh yeah, I've lost a bunch of weight. Almost 100 pounds. Now's the time for you to take control of your health and join the Farrell's 10-week challenge. The program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition to set you up for success. And ticket listeners, you can get in for half off. The next challenge starts on January 7th at both of their locations, 40th and Yankee Hill, and their brand new spot at 70th and Vine. Get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Join today. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa. It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick, brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game! It's all about the game, and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it. All about your stand, if you can play it. It's all about play. Who's gonna make it?
Welcome in. It's time to play the game, as it says right now. Strick, I'm going to wait for the music to end, and then I got a couple things I got to play for Strick because, well, he's doing a pretty good job at, in kind of a big deal. So here you go.
The champ is here. 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 The champ is here.
Just getting after it. That's what Strick is doing.
The champ is here. The champ is here.
I'll give you that. And then here we go. I think it's this one. Or maybe this one.
Kobe.
Great checking on this guy. He's on fire.
Kobe.
I'm just enjoying the ride over here, Strick. I'm just copying all of your moves.
He's having a great time right now. He's just having a great time. I don't know if nobody's calling right now. I think they're all scared. You're scared of us. You're too good.
Strick, how many of you hit? Is it
right
4
here.
or 5? Is it 4 or 5 in a row?
No. Here's what we're gonna do. If no one calls, I'm going up against Nate because he
Okay.
always talks that trash.
So I'm gonna give everybody 30 more seconds to get a call in. If this hits 55 and nobody's called in, it's gonna be Nate versus Strick, and then we'll just do the third caller gets the stricken.
Yeah.
So
Strick, I will crush you. I'm not worried at all.
I'm just watching the phone. See if
And Nate's got to go first, Rico.
Okay.
What? So you can use the Google machine? No, that's trash. I know exactly what's going on there.
I don't cheat.
Here it goes, gentlemen. Are you ready?
Am I going? Am I going?
You first.
Yep. Nate's gonna go first. So in 3, 2, 1. Well, actually, let me tell you what this is first.
Okay.
This is the 2023 number 1 overall players at their positions according to 24/7 composite rankings.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Running back. Hold on. Is that the right one?
Yeah, but it's just
Yeah, that's the right one. Turn it down just a little bit, though. I can't hear.
Okay. Running back Cedric Baxter. Did he go to USC or Texas?
Texas.
That is correct. Offensive tackle Francis Moigoa, Florida State or Miami?
Miami.
Correct. Safety Caleb Downs, Alabama or Clemson?
Alabama.
Correct. Kicker Peyton Woodring, Georgia or Florida?
Florida.
Incorrect. He went to Georgia. And the number 1 transfer punter, Ryan Sanborn, transferred from Stanford to which school in the state of Texas?
7, 6, 5, 4,
Baylor.
2, 1.
I'm sorry, sir. That is incorrect.
That is it. Can I steal?
No, you
What is it?
cannot. No, he transferred to Texas.
So what, I get 3?
You got 3 right. Yep, you got 3 right. So, sir, let's see if Stricky can do a little better than his co-host, one Nathan Brennan. All right, here we go. Again, number 1 players in the 2023 class at their positions according to the 24/7 composite rankings. 3, 2, 1. Receiver Zachariah Branch, Oregon or USC?
USC.
Correct. Interior offensive lineman Alex Birchmeyer, Penn State or Michigan?
Penn State.
That is correct. Edge Keon Keeley, Alabama or LSU?
Alabama.
That is correct. Punter Tyler White, Texas A&M or Oklahoma?
Oklahoma.
That is incorrect. He went to Texas A&M. Number 1 high school long snapper Jake Eldridge signed with which Big Ten East school?
5, 4, 3, 2.
Ohio State.
Incorrect. He's going to Rutgers.
Oh!
Tied at 3.
No!
Okay, so who gets the tiebreaker?
You.
No, I don't want to get screwed in this. Strick's going to screw me over in this.
How?
No, I'm going to give Nate. You have to get the number. He has to go over under. I'm sorry.
All right.
Look, I'm sorry. That's just how this works. All right.
All right. I'll beat him anyways.
How many yards did number 1 overall recruit Arch Manning throw for in his 9 regular season games this season?
3,487.
Strick, over or under?
Over.
Wait.
Boom shakalaka.
Nate?
Yes!
Oh! No, I won.
Nate wins.
No!
I said, give me a hell yeah.
You were both way over. Arch Manning threw for 2,015 yards.
Oh, wow.
So do I get to talk trash to Strick?
You get your choice if you want to talk trash to Strick or take the high road, Nathan Brennan.
Strick, that was garbage. You're trash. I've been telling you for weeks that I'll take you any single episode. I got you. If you want to go tomorrow, we can go tomorrow too. We can go next week. Whatever you want the smoke, you let me know and I'll give you the smoke. How's that sound?
You're a sucker. I can't believe you, Rico. You gave that good, that Bob garbage.
Hey, Mark came up with the questions, not me.
You got lucky today, Nate. You got lucky.
Everybody gets lucky once. That's going to do it for Shootout with Strick. That's going to do it for the first hour of On the Block with Strick and Nate. Again, caller number 3 will get the Stricken today as Nate takes down Strick and breaks him. The champ is no longer here. I'm sorry, Strick. It happens to us all.
No, that was a non-con game, but it doesn't matter. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the signees that the Huskers were able to take on and bring in to Big Red Country when we come back for the 3 o'clock hour. On the Block. Come back. Stay right here after this.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Riddles Jewelry is excited to showcase the scintillating Levion jewelry collection. Levion is known for their love of reinventing fine designer jewelry through unique combinations of chocolate diamonds, vibrant gemstones, and precious metals. Levion and Riddles Jewelry, 2 family-owned businesses who put customers at the heart of what they do. No one colors your world better than Levion, so visit Riddles Jewelry today and receive $100 off any Levion purchase now through Christmas.
At Riddles Jewelry, Gateway Mall. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa. This is On the Block with Strick and Nate. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
And Hokie Homer turned Husker, Nathan Brennan.
Everyone knows that I'm the smartest person here.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Nate.
A very happy Wednesday, hump day to all of you. My name's Nate Brennan. He's the Husker Hall of Famer, the 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. You're listening to On the Block 93.7 The Ticket. 402-464-5685, Sutter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. As always, we want to hear from you. You can also check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. See what's going on here. We're both remote today. Rico is in studio. I want to take a second to give him and Nick a huge shout out. They've been manning the board all day, making sure that every show is still on air. And I think Rico and Nick are going to be hanging around for Old School as well. I know that they're going to be helping out and filling in tomorrow. So I want to give a huge shout out to both of them. They have been absolutely awesome today. Again, 402-464-5685, Sutter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. As always, we want to hear from you guys because we're going to get right into it. Strick, a very busy, a very active day for the Huskers. Early signing period is about to come to a close, still 3 o'clock. Matt Rule recently took to the podium, talked to the media a little bit. So I want to go through some of the more recent recruits that have now officially decided that Nebraska will be their home. I know that we've been following it and tracking it all day, but these are the most recent ones. And I want to break it down a little bit.
Do you want me to play the fax sounder for the 3 that we got over the last hour?
Sure, let's do it.
We have a great fax sounder for people that signed. So here we go. So I play that for the defensive lineman out of Texas A&M who was transferred into Nebraska. Elijah Judy made it official as he announced that he is going to be signing with Nebraska, signing to the Huskers, along with the transfer running back / wide receiver out of Baylor. Hold on, I have to make sure that I get his name right so that I'm not just throwing a name out there willy-nilly.
You know what, Rico? I liked that sounder. That was pretty nice. We've been doing
that all day. All right. So the transfer running back / wide receiver out of Baylor, Joshua Fleeks, who was actually recruited by Scott Frost and his staff when he was coming out of high school. Wide receiver, they have him listed as 5'10", 190 pounds. Transferring out of Baylor makes it official. He's coming to Nebraska. Elijah Judy, the defensive lineman at Texas A&M, 6'3", 300 pounds, coming to Nebraska. And most recently, the most recent signee / commit. You know what? I have to do it because it's what we do around here. Vincent Carroll Jackson, a defensive line flip. He was committed to Syracuse, was thought to sign with Syracuse, flips to Nebraska. 6'5", 270-pound defensive lineman coming to Nebraska via Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Another Pennsylvania signee.
There it is.
2 signees, the first 2 since 1999 for Nebraska Cornhuskers.
There it is. I mean, listen, let me speak on, well, I talked briefly about that flip in the segment with Cluster Johnson, and that was huge because like I said, it speaks to Rule going into his wheelhouse, right? But here's the one I really want to talk about: Elijah Jeudy. Elijah Jeudy, I think, there was a lot. I would say there's disappointment in O'Shawn Mathis. I can't even say that I would feel comfortable with him going anywhere higher than 7th round at the performance that he showed me. Just didn't really show me the ability to get off blocks. His motor didn't seem to be as high as what I expected and thought. But Elijah Jeudy seems to be the perfect fit for the 3-3-5 defense that Tony White wants to run, right? He has the ability to not only go hand down, but he also has drop and coverage abilities. He has a nice developed body. He's got great lower body strength. He's athletic. He's got a burst. He also has a good dip. He's got flexibility in his hips. I love a lot of the things as I began to watch some tape on him. He's got great angles, and he's also good at maintaining gap integrity, which you want to have when you're going to run a 3-3-5. You want to be able to get into gaps, hold your position, and allow those running backs to run. So those are some of the things that I like about that transfer. I love the fact that we're able to get another legacy kid out of Boodle. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Boodle the second. Him, obviously without his brother, that's possibly something that doesn't happen. Coming out of Florida, out of Miami area, Palmetto, he can play both cornerback and safety. So I love that about him. One of the things that we've been having struggle in the secondary is good tackling. Yeah. This young man is supposed to be a tremendous tackler in the open field. He's got great IQ and the ability to run with receivers, which the 3-3-5. It looks like they're recruiting for what they're the character as well as the style of play that they want to implement here at Nebraska. It looks like they're recruiting for that, so that's big to hear.
Let me ask you this, Strick, because I think this goes without saying that the big get in the class is getting Malachi Coleman to recommit, I guess, for lack of better words, to Nebraska after he'd entered his name back into discussions. It was between Nebraska and Colorado when it's all said and done. I want to dive into this conversation because we've talked quite a bit about Colorado and the Deion Sanders factor in those type of conversations. But I just look at this as Matt Rule. I've talked to Jay about this too. Matt Rule will not get outworked for a recruit. I mean, we saw day one when Malachi Coleman had said, okay, I'm going to reopen my recruiting. I'm going to go back into these discussions with other schools. Matt Rule was right there in his living room having discussions with him. Kid right in your backyard. He decides to come back to Nebraska. And I think more than anything, it's just refreshing because you look at Colorado and where they're headed, and you look at Nebraska and where they're headed, especially we're going to see him in the second week of the college football season. I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit concerned. I saw Malachi Coleman deciding between Colorado and Nebraska. He ultimately comes back, and I just want to know your thoughts on that because, to me, that's just refreshing to see that a hometown kid, Matt Rule, gets it. And I think that's a big thing that Husker fans were looking for in their next head coach, a guy that gets it, a guy that wants guys to buy into the end, guy that wants these hometown kids to say, okay, Nebraska's my home. This is the school that I'm going to play for. And it looks like Malachi Coleman was at the top of that list, and he was a priority, and ultimately he comes to the University of Nebraska.
Yeah, listen, I would also like to speak and say that I wish Matt could have got here a little bit earlier so that we could have got into the Zane Flores discussion.
I agree.
That's the type of guy that you do not just want to get away to go to an Oklahoma State. He's a winner. He knows how to win. He can make every throw. He's got good feet. I just love the kid in the way that he plays the game. He never feels that he's out of it. That's the type of guy that you would hate to let get away. But in the same token, you look at Malachi Coleman right there in your backyard, right there in Lincoln. in the fight against Deion Sanders, obviously, and battling that out. That's always a tough feat. Malachi Coleman's a 4-star, multi-sport athlete, got great speed. Now he's going to have some work to do. This is not going to be an easy walk in and just show up. He's going to have to put in work. And the reason being is he's shown that he's very straight line. Yes, he can take the top off, but in press coverage, he hasn't shown the ability to be able to, get great releases, and he hasn't shown tremendous route running skills yet. But that's what Matt Rule says he's coming in here to do. He's raw. He's an untapped spigot of oil ready to be blown for you to make all the money on. And that's the kind of kid he is. But we're going to see what the development frame is like. And I think the key is not only recruiting those kids and bringing them in, the key is going to also be, fellas, is retaining them. And it's got to be by the process of what you're teaching them and training them and showing them that development is the key. It's not necessarily going and hunting for green pastures. It's about what we're going to be able to do here and what we can teach you and train you up to be here. And if you do that, you will have success.
Strick, this is kind of interesting, and I was taking a deeper look into it because there's been commitments around the entire country. It's nearly impossible to keep up with every single school. But looking holistically at the class of 2023, and I'm looking at the recruiting rankings by school, Nebraska now, as it currently stands, sits at 28th. And if you look at the Big Ten specifically, they sit at 5th. How does that sit with you? Because to be honest with you, that makes me pretty confident and excited in this staff, because if you look at a complete and total turnover, for crying out loud, Matt Rule's been here, a month?
Yeah,
and
you're late. You're late to the party.
You're late to all these kids, and you have to look at all these kids that had already decided they were going to Nebraska. There's so many moving pieces that have been happening throughout the entire season, and there's so much unknown. But when it's all said and done, I know that it's not over yet. This is our only early signing. There's still a lot of moving pieces. But as it currently stands, if you're sitting at 28th and 5th in the Big Ten, this is his first year. This is his first month recruiting at Nebraska. This has to give you some type of confidence moving forward.
I mean, it gives me confidence, but even more, it speaks to what he said. And I'm going to say this again. He had a press conference where we've heard coach speak like for the last eons of years. We've heard a lot of coach speak, and but we're able to look at Matt Rule and just look at what he said and look at what he's doing.
Right.
And you can actually see what he said and what he's doing, where he's going to get the fellas, and then the type of fellas that he's going to get, some that have been overlooked, some that went to places that didn't feel they got the development that they wanted, but they believe that Rule and what he's implementing, what he's bringing, and the style of play that he's bringing, that they're comfortable with coming and getting on board and fitting in. When there's so many places that people can go, there's so many types of coaches, i.e. your Deion Sanders, where you can go and get the highlights, the glitz and the glam. But if you want
the Louis Vuitton,
if you want to establish something, and if you want to build something, and if you're ready to get in and work it out, Rule is making it happen as it looks, as the way I'm looking at it from afar at this point.
And I
Matt
keep
Rule, Matt Rule, one of his comments on the press conference, he was talking about Malachi Coleman, because once they sign, you can actually talk about commits, signees. He said on Malachi Coleman, I love the fact that Malachi's goal in life is to make other people's lives better. That's way more important to me than the 10-3 that he runs, though I think that's pretty cool too.
Character. He wants character. Listen, the crazy thing about Matt Rule, fellas, and speak on this, I want to hear your thoughts. The crazy thing about Matt Rule is he's saying a lot of the stuff that Deion Sanders is saying. It's just Deion does it in a more flamboyant way, right? He does it in a more, wide open way. He recruits uniquely different, in more flashy way. Great. That's what I'm talking about. But Rule is actually doing the same type of conversation. There's a certain type of player that he wants, i.e. what he just said about Malachi Coleman. There's a certain way that he wants them to play. There's a certain thing that he wants them to do and have accountability for. And you've got to love that. He's just doing it. He's just not out front, all out. He's doing it behind the scenes. And he's got a crew of staff members that's putting in the same work ethic that he's putting in.
And another thing that he said at the press conference, and this should be big with that, this should resonate with everybody. And this comes from our very own Mike Schaefer. He tweeted this quote out from Matt Rule. There's not a bigger quote I've wanted to hear from Matt Rule than him saying, every player on the team is my guy. Not I need to, once we get our guys in here, we'll do this. No. Everybody that is on this team right now is Matt Rule's guy. And that is refreshing to hear.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Nate.
And I just want to reiterate, too, is when I know a lot of people are going to talk about Matt Rule and his previous coaching record and what happened in Carolina. But the more I just watch these dominoes fall and the more I hear him speak, I mean, this guy is a college coach. Let's be entirely honest with each other. I mean, you talk about the way kids carry themselves. You talk about the buy-in. You talk about playing for Nebraska. I mean, and you can see so many stories of it, too. There's just some guys that don't work in the NFL. I mean, you're dealing with professional athletes. You're dealing with guys that have families, that have a life outside of football. I mean, there's so many different factors. For an 18 or 19-year-old kid, this is what you want to hear. I mean, a kid that buys in, a kid that shows character. When you're saying that you are more worried about this kid and his future outside of the football field, I mean, that resonates with kids. And especially when you go into a living room and you're talking to a family and you say, hey, we worry about life after football. We worry about someone's character. We worry about the grown man that you're going to become. That's important. And I think what you said says so much about Matt Rule, Strick, is that we heard it, right? I mean, when he came in, the opening press conference, it was fireworks. Everyone loved it. It was great. You can see it on the recruiting right now. The dude's been here a month, and you've got the 28th class right now, 5th in the Big Ten, making this up in a month. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's impressive, and it makes me confident moving forward. And I think that what we're seeing right now is that foundation. And I want to hit on that, too, because we talk about that foundation over and over and over. When's the last time Nebraska had that foundation? I can't even tell you, but that is what we're starting to see.
I mean, just let's look at this, right? I'm going to run down about 6 coaches that were tremendous college coaches, but failed immensely in the NFL, right? You have one of the greatest coaches of all time in my book, in Lou Holtz out of Notre Dame. Went to the New York Jets, also coached at NC State. Yeah. But he coached in the New York Jets in 1976, failed miserably, and finds himself coming back and winning one national championship. He won the National Coach of the Year award twice after he left the Jets. That's one. You have another one who failed with the Cleveland Browns. That's Butch Davis. Everybody dang near fails with the Cleveland Browns. But Butch Davis, he finds himself failing, but then he goes on and has a tremendous run with North Carolina. And then you have another one in Dennis Erickson. Great Miami coach, terrible at the Seahawks. He wasn't able to do, on the other hand, what now coach, he was at USC. What's the coach at Seattle right now?
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll. He wasn't able to do what Pete was able to do. Pete was able to do it. He wasn't able to. But here's the greatest of them all. Nick Saban. Nick Saban went to Miami.
The GOAT.
Posted a 15-17 record, but look what he has done at Alabama. So you can't tell me it can't happen. You're absolutely right, Nate. There are guys just do not do well dealing with men, dealing with the fact that you've got a lot of men. Now, NIL changes that, but you're still dealing with young men. And so the fact is you can shape them, you can mold them, you can help grow them, you can help develop them, because ultimately their goal is not to stay in NIL. Their goal is to go to the next level. And if you can show them that you're a part of that process for helping them to get that, kudos to you. And I think he fits that mold.
Strick, I want to ask you real quick before we head to break, if you want to just talk about personal experience, because I think that's why it's awesome that we have such a great resource. I mean, you've seen coaches at the high school level, the college level, and then at the professional level. What was it that made college coaches so successful, and then on the flip side, professional level? Because I know that you've had quite a few coaches in your career at the professional level, and I just want to know how that dynamic is so much different, because like you said, there is a laundry list of coaches that have been successful in the college ranks and just completely flame out in the NFL.
Well, it's definitely different from being in the pros, and I think that's why Tyronn Lue decides to stay. He doesn't want to coach. He understands, because it's like being a CEO when you coach at the professional level. You basically got to manage a bunch of egos and help them to mesh for one accomplishment, and that's the goal of winning a championship, right? That's what I can say. The best vision of that was when I was with the Boston Celtics, where they were terrible prior to me getting there. Obviously, they had Rick Pitino, who's one of them that failed immensely in the NBA.
Perfect. Yes.
But, so Rick Pitino was there. He had that same guys, the Antoine Walkers, the Ron Mercers, and then the Paul Pierces. But then it was Jim O'Brien, who coached under Pitino in Kentucky, just able to understand the difference between the college coaching ranks and the NBA. And he was able to sit Antoine down, sit Paul down, and help them to understand the roles that they needed to play in order to be successful. And we had one of the best turnarounds where they had us pick dang near last in the East, and we finished second by rank. So I'm saying that's how it can happen. It's a different nuance. Whereas as a college coach, it's about understanding how much you can push that button, how much you have to just let him be, and then have to sit him down and watch film. How much you have to know all the different nuances to be able to touch their button in college, and then still get them to buy into a system that leads you to hopefully winning a conference championship, as opposed to maybe a national championship. So it's different nuance, but getting those kids to buy in.
Yeah, and as we head out and go to break, Travis and Lincoln text us on the text line. I want to make it very clear, we're not comparing Matt Rule to any of these coaches.
No.
We're just giving specific examples of guys that, great college coach that just can't coach the professional ranks. And there's not a knock on these guys. It's just the reality of it. And you can find so many examples. We only got into a few of them. We got to take a quick break. Brian Munson, the guru of recruiting, he's going to join us next. He's going to break all of this down, keep us up to date with who still hasn't committed quite yet, who might be here in the next hour or so. So make sure you stick with us. Again, you're listening to On the Block, 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
Hey guys, this is Lindsay Teal from Nebraska Golf Team. Imagine golfing the best courses in the world. St. Andrews, Pebble Beach, Southern Hills, the best of the best. You can play those courses and more without ever leaving the city of Lincoln at Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle has the city's best golf simulators, 5 high-quality bays that track ball speed, launch angle, club speed, spin rate, and more to give you the most accurate gameplay. Check it out for yourself year-round. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Paul and the staff at High Electric want to wish all 93.7 The Ticket listeners a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Cherish the season and all that it stands for. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from High Electric, your go-to in Lincoln for all electric needs.
The Empire brand is growing with ESC fabrication and sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel and media blasting of all sorts. ESC is great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Riddles Jewelry is excited to showcase the scintillating Levion Jewelry Collection. Levion is known for their love of reinventing fine designer jewelry through unique combinations of chocolate diamonds, vibrant gemstones, and precious metals. Levion and Riddles Jewelry, two family-owned businesses who put customers at the heart of what they do. No one colors your world better than Levion, so visit Riddles Jewelry today and receive $100 off any Levion purchase now through Christmas.
At Riddles Jewelry, Gateway Mall.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Ever think of having a career in plumbing or heating? Do you enjoy watching your favorite game in a nice, comfortable space? Taking a shower after a warm day? Well, everyone we serve at Biggerstaff Plumbing, Heating, and Air sure does. If you're interested in a career in plumbing, heating, and air, come join our team where you'll get paid while training. No experience required. Enjoy great pay and benefits in a friendly environment. Call Biggerstaff Plumbing, Heating, and Air at 402-466-8118. or apply online at biggerstaffs.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
A winter storm warning will be in effect late this afternoon into tonight. We'll see a high of 26 with areas of flurries and freezing drizzle this morning a possibility. But by this evening into tonight, a quick blast of snow, 3 to 5 inches will be possible. An overnight low of 11 degrees below zero. A high tomorrow of only around 4 below zero. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day. Sponsored by Live Hydration Spa. Back to On the Block with Strick and Nate on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A very happy Wednesday to all of you. My name's Nate Brennan. He's the Husker Hall of Famer, the 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. You're listening to On the Block 93.7 The Ticket. 402-464-5685. Sutter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln Outline. As always, we want to hear from you because it's a big day for Husker football. You can also check us out on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of those platforms. You can see what's going on. Little remote action today. Again, want to give another shout out to Nick and Rico. They've been holding it down there, holding the board, taking care of business over at the Ticket headquarters in Great Lincoln, Nebraska. So me and Strick are avoiding the elements. We recommend you all do the same here in the next hour or two. It's really going to start picking up. Make sure you're taking extra precautions, preparing, planning ahead, all of that good stuff, because it's going to be a rough couple days here in Nebraska, but we wouldn't want it any other way. We're going to bring him in, Brian Munson on 3 Husker Online. Brian, what's going on? A fairly big day for the Huskers.
I would say it's an incredibly large day. I mean, I thought that I thought things went about as well as they could. There were a couple actually surprises in there that I think we'll get to here in a minute. I think maybe you are still waiting on at least one piece of news to break still later on today. But ultimately, this is a class that started the day or the week at 39th, and they have improved to 30th on the On3 class ranking scale. And ultimately, I think people need to be really, really happy with, or actually they were 40th, they're 31st now. I think people need to be really, really happy with the effort that Matt Rule and his staff put together here in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, Brian, we're going to break all of that down. I definitely want to talk about the Matt Rule impact because we were touching on it a little bit the past segment, and I want to get your thoughts on it too. Again, Brian Munson on 3, Husker Online, join us right now. First thing I got to ask you, Brian, just break it down. What are some of the biggest names of this recruiting class, and what are some of the guys that might not be the flashy name, but we're probably going to be hearing in the next couple of years playing on Saturdays?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was huge that Nebraska was able to keep Malachi Coleman in the class. I felt like going back to a source that had told me originally that the plan was always to get out and sign in December. Some of that was kind of put into doubt about the official visit to Colorado last weekend, but obviously he gets in this morning. I'll stay down here in Texas a little bit just because I think it's fair to say that Prince Will Umanmielen from Manor, Texas is going to be a real special player. He's a longer edge kind of guy, a hybrid guy, maybe a guy that you could see maybe working in there with Chief Borders, maybe using Borders as kind of a mentor. Borders who committed a little bit earlier on. I think that's a good situation for him. I think Ramir Stewart, who committed this weekend, was part of the official visitors this last weekend, is a huge get for Nebraska. I think that he's got some real versatility to do some things for Nebraska. He could do some nickel stuff. He could roll over and play some safety. Obviously that's on top of Corey Collier, who committed from the Florida transfer. But I feel like they did a good job of addressing some needs. They missed out on a tight end. They don't really have a real true nose in there. They lose Hayden Moore. They go get Eric Fields. Eric Fields is a real fun dude to watch. He's got some jets, on his feet, and I think that people really like it when linebackers are making plays inside out. So one guy that I would mention that I think people are really gonna appreciate and like. I think he's really raw, and I think his best days of playing are ahead of him. But Vincent Carroll Jackson from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, flipped from Syracuse, put the film on, and that's a dude that's only played football for like a year or two, and his potential is incredible. His upside is unbelievable, and he's looking forward to teaming up with Van Poppel and Judy, and he was already talking to me about it and how much he's looking forward to kind of playing with those guys and getting to learn from them.
Brian Munson, Husker Online, join us right now. The recruiting guru, we're going to call him for the day, breaking down this early signing period for Nebraska. Brian, I got to ask you, because you mentioned Matt Rule and his impact, and Strick and I were breaking it down a little bit, but I want to know your thoughts, because you mentioned that Nebraska was sitting around that 40 range, and now they jump up to around that 30 range. Matt Rule, for what it's worth, only been here, I believe, a little over a month. What has he shown in this past month that he's getting these players, despite so much uncertainty and so much unknown, probably the most that we've seen maybe in Nebraska's history, that despite all of those challenges, he's still able to get these kids in the door with only being here about a month?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point. I think he's incredibly relatable, number one. I think that he's the kind of guy that, when you put him in the living room with these players and their parents, they felt connected to him almost immediately. I think that number two, he understands what Nebraska football is about. It starts with the home state kids. And that was really one of those things where the junior day that he held, the first Sunday that he was actually the head coach, it showed everything to those kids that traveled in, the 23, the 24, the 25 kids. They couldn't believe that, he wasn't spending the weekend getting settled in, unpacking the house, whatever. And that's a guy that understood, like, time is limited, and it's incredibly valuable right now for me to get out here and keep doing this stuff and keep working. And it's paid off huge dividends so far with keeping some of those guys committed, keeping them in the boat, and I think helping to get some guys in 2024 and 2025 thinking about, committing to Nebraska here in the future. But I think that he's relatable. I think he communicates incredibly well. I think he has a plan. I think he's also put some trust in, like, a guy like Vince Ginta. And I think that the one thing that I'm spitballing here, but I really feel like, keeping a guy like Vince Ginta, on the staff, kind of giving him the North Star kind of, position to say, guide me through this. Show me who it is I need to go have interest in. And I think Gimp has been able to kind of connect him with these players for the most part. So I think that it's a good combination of the new, it's a good combination of the what was there before. And I think that he's filled out that seat very well in 3 weeks because I think he's seen a lot of ground.
The recruiting guru, as we call him, Brian Munson, Husker Online, joining us right now. Brian, you mentioned it earlier. There could be some more movement today. What do you got for us? Who do you expect to maybe make a move here in the next hour or so?
Yeah, I don't know really what else to kind of make of it. Barry Jackson has not signed yet. He had told me last night it was a 6:00 signing. There's like a radio show that kind of goes along with it. It's a 5:00 Central kind of announcement. So I think we'll be hearing about it here in the next hour and a half or so. But something to me has just not felt right in this space. Now, all the other sources that I have talked to seem to indicate that there's really nothing, on their radar that's saying that Barry Jackson's going to do anything other than commit to Nebraska. But it all remains to kind of be seen. I didn't feel like Nebraska was giving the same type of love to him as what maybe like a Jalen Lloyd or a Malachi Coleman or a Jaden Doss was getting. You never saw Matt Rule kind of go down to Atlanta and kind of spend time with Barry Jackson. There's some family matters kind of going on there that might keep him closer to home. He visited Cincinnati just the days leading up to the Nebraska official visit this past weekend. So I don't know really what to kind of make of that, first of all. And I think we'll find out in the next 90 minutes or so again what's going to happen. I think there could be some more good news coming. If not tonight, it could be coming tomorrow. It could be coming Friday. I still feel very good about Malik Hornsby joining this class. And if Malik Hornsby joins this class, I think a lot of people are going to just go, first of all, they're going to be excited. Hey, he's a tremendous athlete. I think number two, they're going to go, this is 2 years in a row that Nebraska has brought in 2 portal transfer quarterbacks. But I think obviously there's an athletic side to Hornsby that has been kind of talked about, that he might potentially be interested in redshirting, learning, maybe potentially trying out another spot while he kind of waits to transition back to quarterback. But I think Nebraska is in a really, really good spot for Malik Hornsby. And I know, like I said, I don't think it's going to be today. It may be later this week. And I still think that they can get Cameron Lenhart the first week in January. So that would be a guy that would recommit back to Nebraska after committing and decommitting in September.
Brian Munson, Husker Online, joining us right now. I'll have Strick ask a question, but just real quick before we get a little bit more into this recruiting, Brian, you mentioned another possible transfer quarterback recruit. As of right now, Chubba Purdy and Logan Smothers still in the mix, as is Casey Thompson, a couple of those guys getting surgery. We don't know the status of their injuries at this point in time. Sims has already decided that the transfer from Georgia Tech has already decided he's going to come to Nebraska. How do you see this quarterback room shaping out? I know that it's a huge discussion right now for Husker fans, but that's a lot of names, and a few of those guys are big names. What does this mean moving forward for that quarterback room?
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 transfers. You add on top of that, you got Smothers, you have Harburg, and you have Torres. You got 7 guys in a room. I think that would end up making as far as the scholarships would kind of go around. I mean, I think anybody with just that can just do reasonable math would tell you that that's too many numbers in the room, number one. Mm-hmm. But I think also number two, they would tell you that it's very difficult to kind of get out on the right foot in the spring if you don't have a healthy quarterback or two to kind of get things going. And Nebraska doesn't have it. I mean, you've got Harvard, don't get me wrong, and you've got Torres, don't get me wrong, but you've got 2 guys like Smothers and Thompson that were and really Purdy that, 2 shoulders and an ankle or a lower leg and 3 surgeries between the 3 of them. I think 2 of them are going to miss the spring entirely. Purdy may be back, but I mean, it's one of those things right now where I'm sure that Rule is just sitting there going, how could I dare allow myself to go into the spring and not have a couple of signal callers ready to go learning this offense, and a couple other guys that are on the sideline, learning from them, doing mental reps, etc. I feel like he's too professional, number one, to allow that to happen. And I think that obviously it's going to play out that in the room, you're going to figure out quickly that maybe you're going to have to get down to 85, but there's going to have to be a guy or two that are going to have to come out of that room and just go, my future's not in that room. And it's just one of those things where they're going to have to come back and talk about it. I mean, and people want to talk to everybody else about Dylan Raiola too. I mean, the 2024 quarterback. And I'm going, yeah, that's 8. Yeah, so there's 1/10 of your entire scholarship roster is in your quarterback room. So I feel like everybody has to pump the brakes on the 2024 guys. There's no reclassification possibility for Raiola. Let's just get that out there. And I think you have to play through the spring and figure out, let the cards kind of fall where they may.
Brian, that's it. I mean, you kind of answered where I was going. I was gonna say, even in a decommission, there's no hurry for Dylan. Dylan has a great position to just be able to sit back, watch, observe what Nebraska's trying to do, and then can see and assess what the next steps would be for him. But the way that I do see it, though, Brian, and maybe you can help me to understand it better, is that Dylan Raiola and the transfers that they're bringing in are late guys. They're guys that are more mature. They're guys that have had some great, action. Obviously, Sims has been there for 3 years now. So you've got these guys that are on the latter half, as opposed to younger guys like a Purdy or somebody coming in, which I think bodes well for the action that they're trying to put forth on Dylan Raiola.
Well, I totally agree with that too. I think you're looking for a guy that's the guys that are in the room that are going to lead based on that experience. You don't have those younger guys that are all trying to still figure out their way. They don't have a process, they don't have that kind of seasoned thing where they can just kind of go into a room and make the adjustments or whatever. They were still learning wherever they were at, and they're coming back and they're learning again. I think that you've got some guys potentially in Sims and potentially in Hornsby. And Hornsby is a guy that I think obviously could sit in a couple of rooms with quarterback and wide receiver and whatever else you want to kind of put in there. But I think that you have that guy that you can sit there and put some trust around, make him not necessarily like an example, but at least put him in a position where he's been a leader before and he can go out there and lead those guys again. Because those guys that are not able to take the actual reps, they're going to need some help. They're going to need some help in the room, watching film, going through meetings. They're going to need an extension of the coaching staff that they can go and ask questions to, because Sat's not going to be able to take all those questions, or whomever the quarterback's coach is going to be. They're not going to be able to take those questions all the time. You're going to have to find a place or a person that's kind of the person in the middle that's going to be able to kind of answer those questions and work together as a team and as a group. And that's really what you find when you get that cohesiveness and you get that kind of a situation there out of the quarterback's room. That's when you really start having something coming together as a team, but not when guys are necessarily competing against each other and it turns bad and negative and backstab and whatever. But when it's a good, healthy competition and they all see it's for the greater good of the team, that they're out there just trying to get better, that's when things are really healthy when it comes to a room.
Brian Munson, Husker Online, joining us. Brian, last question we got for you. I know that early signing period at this point has basically just become signing period. I mean, Nebraska got a plethora of guys today to commit and say that they're coming to the University of Nebraska. But I got to ask you, where do we currently stand, and how many more dominoes do you expect to fall before we head into next season?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do feel like you're going to have another little wave of guys that are going to jump out and go into the portal, where they're going to take this information back about the early signing day, and they're going to kind of weigh what's going on there in the room and weigh what's going on with their path to get out there onto the football field, and they'll see it either as a positive or as a negative. And they've had these conversations obviously behind closed doors about how the previous staff kind of, evaluated them, and they passed on the information to them, and they kind of gave them the, hey, we want you part of this roster, or, maybe it's time for you to kind of take a look around. But those conversations have already happened. But I think that, there's another signing that's coming up. I think obviously you got Cameron Lenhart. You know, you've got some guys like Chimney Uno that you could potentially bring in. That's another offensive tackle. There's some other guys out there. Ashley Williams didn't sign today. You know, that's kind of still hanging out there as an edge. Although I think Nebraska did a really good job at the edge position. But and Ethan Nation is an interesting guy. I don't know necessarily if Nebraska is thinking that he's a take at the moment. So I think that there's maybe, a couple 3 spots here to maybe kind of see how things are going to go. I think that they're waiting on guys like, Cornelius is a big thing, and Scott is a big one here. The 2 offensive linemen, portal transfer guys, seeing what they're going to do. And I think that if they miss on both those guys, I could see Nebraska really reevaluating things and trying to find another portal transfer offensive tackle, maybe trying to find another portal transfer interior guy, preferably a guy that puts his hand on the ball and plays in the center. So that could be those could be like some big issues actually if Nebraska misses out on both those guys.
Brian Munson, he is the recruiting guru, as we call him. Brian, great stuff from you. I know you're going to be busy here over the next several weeks as this class kind of comes together. If you want to get more great content from you and your team, how can they do so?
Come on over to Husker Online, man. 10 months for $25. We got all this stuff up here on our Sunny Day Central. Sipple was just texting me talking about the great stuff he got from Rule Today during the press conference. So get on over there because his column is coming up. And I'm going to do kind of a summary tonight, Tunnel Talk on Friday. And before we sign off, happy holidays to you guys. It's been really great working with you guys this year, and happy holidays to all your listeners.
Brian, we appreciate you as always. Very happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you as well. And hopefully we'll talk to you next week with maybe some more recruits.
That sounds great. Take care, guys.
Awesome. There he goes. Brian Munson, Husker Online. Great stuff from him. Breaking all this down for us because there is quite a bit going on. Still plenty more to come as well. We got to take a quick break, and then we will wrap up things here on the block. We're going to have a little crossover with probably Rico. Might get a Jay Foreman sighting. Lots to break down. We're going to keep it rolling. Again, you're listening on the block 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa.
Ever think of having a career in plumbing or heating? Do you enjoy watching your favorite game in a nice, comfortable space? Taking a Biggerstaff Plumbing, Heating, and Air at 402-466-8118 or apply online at biggerstaffs.com.
Problem gambling affects more than the gambler. It affects spouses, children, extended family members, and friends. If you are a loved one who's struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 476-2300.
Paul and the staff at High Electric want to wish all 93.7 The Ticket listeners a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Cherish the season and all that it stands for. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from High Electric, your go-to in Lincoln for all electric needs.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Are you looking for some holiday fun right in the heart of downtown Lincoln? Bring your friends and family to Lincoln's largest drive-through Christmas lights experience. This show features countless high-quality lights in vibrant colors, holiday props, and favorite characters of the season, all synchronized to music
to enjoy in your car. Start a new holiday tradition this year and experience the magic of Nebraska Christmas Light Show at Haymarket Park from November 26th to January 3rd, 5 p.m. to midnight. Purchase tickets today at NebraskaChristmasLightShow.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to a best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts, guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Lincoln. Hopcat is your pregame headquarters for basketball and volleyball all season long. Hopcat is located at 6th and P in the Haymarket. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com. Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to a best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts, guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Lincoln. Hopcat is your pregame headquarters for basketball and volleyball all season long. Hopcat is located at 6th and P in the Haymarket. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket's coverage of early National Signing Day, sponsored by Live Hydration Spa. Back to On the Block with Strick and Nate on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There we go.
All right, we are here. Look at it. This is the crossover.
We Nate needs to unmute his mic on the stream.
Yeah, oh, that was on your end. No. I was muted on. Come on.
I have the tab that says can't unmute your guest because they have chose to mute themselves.
No, it said the host muted you, so I was trying to talk.
Strick knows what it's like.
I was trying to do an intro. I was trying to see if Jay is staying warm because I know that he was a little bit worried about Snowmageddon, and here we are.
About it, I couldn't get a straight answer out of the only person that in the ticket roster that works at the news station, and we couldn't get a straight answer out of.
What do you mean? I was telling you.
Now you out in York, Nebraska, kicking it with a golf simulator. Probably got some eggnog already flowing. I see my man Stricky up in there kicking it. Look at her, just tipping. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting that Nate just dips out. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he just gets to leave.
Yo,
what do you mean? I'm avoiding Snowmageddon.
Hey, saying, Nick,
you're not here 4 to 6, man. You're not here 4 to 6 the rest of the week. I'm forced to hang with Jay the rest of the week. Nick
and Jay, hold on 1 second. He cheated me today, y'all, on Shootout with Strick. We had a combative fight in the booth. We was going at it. He cheated me, man. He cheated me. He barely skated by the chin of his skin of his chinny chin chin. He barely skated. But I can't. Stricky, I hate losing to Nate.
Winners win, Strick. Hey, winners win. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Hey, Stricky, what was your thought last night on the game?
Obviously it it was a bounce back game, right?
Yeah.
They didn't play very well down there in Kansas City against Kansas State. Guys like Riesel, they didn't look aggressive. Derek Walker was unusually not consistent. So watching it last night, it was a bounce back. I saw the bounce back on the defensive end, the diving on the floor, the being really scrappy, pounding the boards, attacking and going downhill, doing better at shooting their free throws in certain situations and circumstances. And so it was good to see that as you're getting ready to face a pretty tough Iowa team. Iowa's not a slouch. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
The thing I didn't like, Strick, I wanted them to beat them so bad because I wanted them to free Oleg.
Nate left the game.
That's the main reason I go to the games like that. I want to see him free Oleg.
Nate left the game early.
That's
what Rico and I were saying. Rico and I were sitting there going, we need to free Oleg. We want to get to the point to where we're freeing Oleg.
I left my mark. Hey, I left my mark and they screwed me over. I chugged that entire beer in under 10 seconds and they cut me off the broadcast. This is ridiculous. This is egregious. And you know what? I'm going to find whoever cut away that feed and I'm going to handle business because that's ridiculous.
Nate, you know why they did that, right?
Why?
You know why they did it? Because they were listening earlier during the day and the day before, and you couldn't give a straight answer on the weather report, and you go to work with meteorologists, and they say, you know what? If you're not giving a straight answer, cut him off the field.
Cut him off.
Yeah.
Jay, I told you. No. Jay, I told you. I said that there wasn't going to be as much snow as first expected, but the wind chill is going to be 30 to 50 below zero. I told you. I was straight up with you. I don't know what else you want.
It's 18 degrees outside right now. This is.
I said tonight. What are you talking about?
It is
so
tonight.
why'd you have to leave for York tonight?
Listen, I'm not calling the shots. Me and Jay already talked about that.
Yeah, we don't need to. You know what? We don't need to talk about that.
No.
Strick, what's your first initial thoughts?
I know.
Oh, you know what? Let's go to Station ID. Let's go to Station ID real quick.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Strick, what's your first initial thoughts on, let's just say, 85 to 90% of Matt Rule's first class committed and signed?
Man, I was actually going to ask you that question. So it's that was good. You snuck it in on me in the cold. That was a good one. No, my thoughts is I'm impressed. I'm impressed not from the standpoint of some landmark find like what they tried to drop on us with O'Shawn Mathis or something like that. Not from that standpoint. I'm impressed because, and I said this before you got here, Jay, and I'll say it again. Matt first is late to the party, first and foremost. So to be late to the party, to still be able to have strong retention and to find the pieces that fit the puzzle of what you're trying to put together here at Nebraska, I give him kudos for that. The second part is I like the fact that we've heard coach speak now for the last eons of years. And in hearing coach speak, you're now seeing a lot of what he said in his press conference that he's implementing: the style, the type, the personnel, the locations, where he's going to get them. And getting back to what you're familiar with, Jay, and how Coach Osborne used to do it, taking care of business in state. So, I've got to say, I give him an A, so far. Not necessarily on the who, but on the what, because this is still a foundational recruiting class for him, right? It's not necessarily that breakthrough the mode, but if they develop them right, it could be something.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you the correlation maybe between maybe not even the coaches, but maybe the message from what Fred Hoiberg said, where he went to Trev with his plan. He wanted to recruit more team guys that fit, and played a certain way. You know what I mean? A little bit more grimy on defense. You're thinking the Garys. You're thinking, the Greasels. You're thinking the guys that he's brought in this year versus previous, right? Which was, it seemed like an AAU squad and throw the ball out there and ball till you fall one-on-one and all that. And then you look at Rule, where the guys that he's saying, or, that had said that kind of fit him, and you could see a little bit what he's done at Baylor. He hasn't changed his stripes. Do you think there's a correlation between that? Because at the end of the day, a big thing is if you say one thing and do another, but if you do what you say, you know what I'm saying? Then then people can actually kind of they can deal with it, right? You're like, okay, look, like we want dual sport athletes, we want speed, we want guys that really people aren't thinking about, and we see something in them. One of the unique things I was reading up on Matt Rule when he was down in Baylor, okay, when he was getting some guys that had some track backgrounds, right? And maybe even in like your case, baseball, you know what I mean? Basketball, and all that. Whereas that they have even though they say are maybe a football player, but they run track, they have a specialized workout for a Strickland or a Jay Foreman or whoever. So when you're going to present that to not only parents and players, but then other coaches that are in your university, everybody's on the same page and everybody feels okay with it. So then when the kid comes, I think you will get better production. You're thinking like Jalen Lloyd's, the other young man that they got, I think, from San Antonio, right?
Bryce Turner.
Even Malachi, Jay, he's that guy, three-sport athlete, track guy, straight line guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that what he's trying to do, he's trying to, maybe not replicate what he did in Baylor, but he's taking some stuff with it. He, obviously has a little bit younger staff. So you're seeing that, in the energy and the social media aspect as well.
I'll tell you guys what stood out to me, or what I kind of realized just at being at the press conference, is that you got an explanation.
Right.
You got more in depth of an explanation on why they operate the way they do.
Right.
You don't feel like they're just saying it with like you said, Strick, the coach speak. Obviously, we always put that blanket statement out there of coach speak, but like you got an explanation of why he's choosing certain guys that maybe aren't the most notable names or home run hires for his staff, but why he's choosing the guys he is choosing, why he operates social media in the way he does. And even though it's stupid things like social media and it's little things like that, those little things eventually compile and start to piggyback on one another, and it gives you confidence on how they're running day to day.
Nate, what did you think, Nate?
Well, I think the biggest thing is what he said in his press conference, what he said he was going to do, he's showing that. And I know that it's still early returns. We don't know how it's all going to shape out. Again, this is just early signing period. There's still a lot more dominoes to fall. Guys are going to enter the transfer portal. But if you look at that opening press conference and what he said he was going to do, what his plans are, what his goals are, even today, Nick made a great point. I mean, he's being candid. He's being upfront with you, and he's putting his all of these moves are what he said he's going to do moving forward. And I want to ask you, Jay, I know that we talk about Dion. He's coming. He's here. That's going to be a big factor. But I think he proved, too, these guys that are in this 500-mile radius, I don't think you can just automatically say they're going to Colorado, because Malachi Coleman's a perfect example. He's right in your backyard. You still make him a priority, and Nebraska can still have the upper hand on some of these kids.
Yeah, I mean, look, one thing about Coach Rule, I don't know him personally, but I know people that have dealt, especially in the college ranks, pro ranks. He probably has a different, I guess, reputation or whatever you want to say. But as far as college, one thing I know about him, he's definitely a good talker. But it's talk that he knows his surroundings, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to like canvas what needs to happen, and he knows what he has to do. I mean, he's not coming in here not understanding that you really have to honestly evaluate local talent, which is the 500-mile radius. Example is the offensive guard from was it South Dakota, Pierce, South Dakota, whereas Nebraska kind of was like lukewarm as being too nice.
Yeah, Jason Machichak.
Right, but they talked to him and then they kind of just didn't follow up with him. Well, when you look at his huddle tape and that first play, you see him, and when he just launches and takes somebody's head off, you talking about you want to change the mindset of your offensive line group.
Yep.
And Coach Donnie didn't take long to not only get back in contact with him, get him on campus, offer him, solidify him in there because of what they saw. So I think he's well aware of his surroundings, and he knows he has obviously a long runway to get better, but I think he also realizes like he can't afford to go 1-11. Now I think as this goes on, now it's going to shift towards, keeping your eyes and ears open to, JUCO, because I think JUCO can still go, do the second signing period, transfer portal, probably, I don't know if that's a second signing period or later, even after spring. So now that's the, maybe the bigger focus, and getting focused on the guys on the roster. You should be starting winter conditioning here pretty soon, or at least when the school season or school starts back, getting in with those guys and getting after it, because he's trying to bring in competition. I mean, even like when you think of the Kay Whalen coming in from Sacramento via, obviously JUCO, where you look at his long, lean body, where you like, all right, he could put on 10 pounds, right? 10 pounds is a good weight. Well, then he's a 6'6", 245-pound guy out there that could, hopefully pay some dividends. He's not probably trying to come in here in a red shirt. So, his biggest thing is to get guys in to push each other. It'd be interesting to see where a couple of those not JUCO, but transfer portal linemen goes. I imagine Cornelius is probably not going to pick Nebraska because he got Ohio State, Nebraska, Tennessee, and Oregon.
Oregon's been on a heater today.
Right, and Oregon's been, flipping guys and getting a number 1 or number 2 quarterback. But big man Scott from Arizona State, that would be just as important as getting Malachi Coleman. I'm telling you, this. And if we get him, or if they get him, the center position, it's essentially the lifeline to that offensive line. And Strick, a lifeline to your offensive line is a lifeline to your whole team. So
yeah,
still got work to do. I'm sure he's happy, but I think in 2 or 3 years, it'd be really good if we could take this day and then take this day 2 years from now and evaluate the guys that committed today. But you can't be mad at him. And you got to be encouraged. Look, he believes in his coaching staff. And so now it's their job to go out there and coach.
Hey, before we get out of here, Nick, I'm going to throw something to you real quick. You look at this, a huge quarterback room now, right? And, obviously one of the main ones is Dylan Raiola, that's still out there potentially, that's watching and observing everything happen. With the quarterback room, some of the ones that they're looking to bring in, I think this is what I find interesting, is that they're bringing a lot of veteran type of guys that are more seasoned, guys that are more later in the latter tenure of their life. Do you think that's kind of a placekeeper of just getting things ironed out, lined up to be able to move them on their way to make room for him when he's ready?
I don't know. It was interesting today, the comments on Jeff Sims. I'm not sure if you guys heard the entirety of Matt Rule's comments on Jeff Sims, but he called Jeff Sims an NFL talent and said that there was the reason that he was a big reason why he already knew Jeff Sims was because he's good friends with Jeff Collins, who was Jeff Sims' coach at Georgia Tech, right? And then when he was at Carolina, he's like, I have Saturdays. I'm not playing on Saturdays, so I was able to watch a lot of Georgia Tech games. So what he said is that Jeff Sims is a, quote, NFL talent, and that he's grateful that Jeff Sims came here. Now, it creates kind of an interesting competitive situation with Casey Thompson and Jeff Sims. I'm not sure what their approach is, because then we have, looking at other position groups, like I was going to kind of piggyback off of what Jay was just saying, is evaluate in 2 years. Matt Rule mentioned multiple times today, whether it was offensive line, whether it was any other position group, how they want guys to be here for 3-4 years. They want the guys to be here for an extended amount of time, but he's aware also that the transfer portal is a very active part of college football. So I'm not sure what their approach to NFL or quarterback recruiting is going to be.
The big pressure, man.
Yeah.
How you treat Casey is going to also go into the locker room, because Casey is the leader of that whole team, regardless if he's out there taking snaps or not.
Yeah, that situation, I think it's safe to say, as of right now, barring injuries in spring ball, barring any other stuff going on, I think there's going to be a pretty tight quarterback battle going on.
Bring it.
And that's what I'm saying. We've been told for how many years in a row now that there was a quarterback battle, but let's be real. There was not a quarterback battle in the last however many years, whether it was between Adrian and Luke, whether it was between Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy, because the difference in QB1 versus QB2 and the lack of development of guys that they've brought in
has not been up to par with the transfers that they've brought in recent years. I think the drop off has been major.
We're gonna see.
All right, we got about a minute left, guys.
Yeah, we're going to see. We appreciate you guys. As always, want to give a shout out to Nick and Rico as well, holding it down. Been basically around the clock today, so we appreciate you guys stepping in. I know that you guys got a packed show too. You'll break more of this down because a big day for Nebraska football. Strick, I appreciate you as always as well. Awesome co-host. We appreciate your work. I know Old School, you guys are going to bring the heat. Lots still to talk about. That'll do it for us on the block. Catch us tomorrow, 2 to 4, same time. Old School coming up next. We'll see you guys tomorrow.